Hello, hello, hello. How you guys all doing this evening? Hi, Nana. Hi, Debbie. Hi, Matt. Hi, Julia. Hi, Brenda. Hi, Richard. Hi, Debbie. Hi, Barry. Hi, Pam. Hi, Danae. Hi, Mark. Hi, Rodney. Hi, Lisa. Hopefully, you guys are all having a great night tonight, but we are watching what's going on in the world. Hi, Karen. NATO, of course. I don't know why they're doing this right now. NATO began nuclear exercises amidst Russian war tensions, which is just ridiculous. Yeah, I'm gonna get into the new strain of COVID. It's pretty much everywhere here in the U.S., but this new strain on the war tensions in Russia is just ridiculous. We're flying 60 something planes right outside of Russia's border. Literally, could easily cross over and cause a nuclear disaster. B-2 bombers are involved in the maneuvers, as well as a whole bunch of other stuff. These war games are being held. The bulk of the war games, at least, are being held about 600 miles from the Russian border, but that's just part of them. Not talking about the main part, the biggest problem with the close contact to the border. I mean, are we asking for war at this point? I think we are. It's getting pretty scary out there for people doing this. Hi, Minnie. How you doing tonight? Hi, Ashley. Hi, Julia. I'm trying to say hi to everybody as you guys come in, but you guys are quick. But oil markets are a big worry for Biden. And he's talking about releasing the rest of the crude oil in the strategic reserve. And that's not what it was made for. He's talking today about releasing another 100 million barrels of crude oil from the strategic reserves. And OPEC is basically saying if we do that, there's going to be bigger problems. They'll cut off all oil. I mean, that won't be long to burn through 100 million barrels when we are on a deficit of 9 billion barrels or 9 million barrels a day if we're not buying foreign oil. 9 million barrels a day we use. So that would last us? 12 days? A million barrels? It's just ridiculous watching this. And investors are worried that U.S. could flood the market with more oil from the strategic reserve, causing OPEC to do its cuts even harsher, causing a global oil catastrophe. Literally, the little bit of oil we have in the strategic reserve will be gone in a matter of weeks at that point. And then what happens? I mean, we're talking about a total drawdown of oil of 180 million barrels total, which would leave just a little bit over 30 million barrels left in the reserve. That is not enough to piss in the wind, much less fight a war. That's literally a day and a half of oil if America were to stop being able to produce it. This is a big problem. Winter's coming. Winter's here for most people, as we're getting a blast of cold air coming down from the south. I mean, literally, the burst of cold air that is here. And who will see freezing temperatures this week? Well, we're getting down to 50 or 65 here. And that is crazy for this time of year. 65 in South Florida. Temperatures running between 15 to 25 degrees below normal already. And that's ahead of the front. Talking bone-chilling wind chills are coming. Atlanta will be colder than New York City. Highs in the low 50s. This is craziness. We know it's going to be a hard winter, and we know it's going to come bad. And people have to be prepared. I've been trying to warn people about this for months. And major cities expecting below freezing is Kansas City, St. Louis, Memphis, Nashville, Atlanta. Below freezing in October. This is a significant problem. With oil prices on the rise, Biden planning to dump more oil out of the strategic reserve, literally, till we have nothing left. And Saudi, of course, Saudi Arabia, Saudi prince sends a threat to the West after Biden warns of consequences for the kingdom today. The crown prince, of course, seemingly took aim at President Biden, warning leaders not to threaten Saudi Arabia. Anybody that challenges the existence of the country and this kingdom, all of us were products of jihad, or martyrdom, who is married to one of the daughters of the late king, Al-Sayed. In the video posted to Twitter, that my message to anybody that thinks they can threaten us. Basically saying that they'll cut all production. If OPEC decides to cut all production just for a week, they could stop the world in motion. Yeah, we need to take our own country back. Reopen the pipeline, ignore what the government wants at this point. I'm sorry. That's what we have to do. Just north of Chicago, you're getting snow. Snow before Halloween, you're getting snow. It's just drastically overwhelming what's happening, though, with the oil crisis, of course, and the U.S. pushing for more war. And I don't even know, the U.S. condones war crimes after Russia's attacked Kiev today, which they took out critical infrastructure. Let's talk about what they took out today. As Kiev hit by drone attacks by Russia targets, they targeted infrastructure. Moscow is targeting Ukraine's energy facilities and other strategic sites as winter approaches. Nothing more than anything we would do if we were at war. If we were fighting another country, we would do the same thing. But Russia launches a fresh wave of Iranian-made drones to attack Kiev in the early hours today. Ukrainian officials said Moscow presses a campaign targeting Ukraine's energy infrastructure before the onset of winter. Well, what do you expect? They're at war. You want people to give up instead of hurting people. And that's what Russia's been trying to do. You can obviously tell that because their lack of mass bombings, which they've proven they can do with just one weekend. Literally. They took one day and they made it known that they could bomb pretty much anywhere within Ukraine, destroying major city centers and devastating power grids and everything else. But it's just messed up. Ukraine, of course, is looking anxiously towards its north border as a fresh influx of troops into Belarus showed up. The announcement last week by Belarus President Alexander Lukashenko that his country and Russia would form a joint regional force to carry out exercises, of course, is setting off alarms in Kiev. But we know what's happening. Kiev's already been hit heavy today. No, you're not hearing about massive body counts in Ukraine. That's the thing. Russia, and that whole entire strike they did today, 4 people died. But they took out critical infrastructure within Kiev. 4 people. But they took out critical infrastructure. But yet the U.S. wants to say and condone what Russia's doing there because 4 people had died after the missile strikes and, of course, the drone strike that happened. 4 people. Call it a war crime now. This is crazy, though. We're watching Belarus and the Russian forces hold joint exercises in February. And many went across the Ukrainian border. an ill-fated drive towards the capital. And it was ill-fated because Russia was not truly prepared for the resistance they were going to face. They didn't realize that Ukraine was going to be armed with United States weapons so quickly that the U.S. was going to go and give pretty much anything Ukraine wanted to them. Ukraine now has our missile defense system and our SAM systems, which are supposed to take out these aerial craft that are performing the bombings, but they're not efficient. It's being proven there, whether we hear it is or not. We're watching the bombings happen, and it's happening at a drastic rate. Now, they're using the top-of-the-line Hermes missile systems in order to intercept planes. That's our top-of-the-line SAM system, or surface-to-air missile system, and it's not working. For the slight amount of people that actually planes are taking down, it is not a good sign. Yep, we did fund the war. Funding it all the way. It is crazy. And it's not that Belarus has a mighty army but the prospects of Ukraine long northern border becomes a passageway for more Russian forces for a second time this year during the heart of winter. During the heart of winter here's what you're going to see a lot differently. The heavy equipment that was getting stuck in fields, the tanks that were sinking in the mud, will not be happening. They're really using our equipment. And why are we funding them? I don't know. But here's the thing. The heavy equipment that we saw in February getting stuck repeatedly from Russia trying to move through fields, the tanks, the trucks, and everything else, that won't be happening soon as the ground freezes. And Russia knows this. Russia, of course, using key targets to keep infrastructure down. Using drones, of course, to do that, and other planes. Of course, the Russian army thinks it's doing great by holding off Russian forces in parts of Donetsk and Mariupol several months after the war has already started. They don't understand what's coming. They literally don't. We are watching what's happening, and they're not prepared. It is a sad situation watching what's happening in Ukraine. I feel sorry for the people on both sides. This whole game that Ukraine and the U.S. is playing versus Russia is pushing towards a nuclear means. I mean, look what the U.S. just did in Iran. As protesters toppled the Iranian regime, I wonder who got them started. Lansing Maxwell said about Prince Andrews and Jeffrey Epstein and former President Trump and Clinton's. I mean, this is just everything. All these end up in the same spot. An uprising in Ukraine happened because some government decided to step in and puppetize it. Yeah, once the ground freezes, it's game on. You can't fight the newer military tanks than what we even have with better armor. We already know that. The only way to get them is when they're stuck in the mud. They're not stuck in the mud. What are we going to face? But it's sad watching what's happening. Iran, of course, protesting its own country. As the Iranian regime gets toppled there. And this is happening because of the U.S. Everything is happening because of us now. It's a sad state of affairs, though. And why is NATO pushing for more exercises and more nuclear exercises at that? Not even just war games, but nuclear exercises. Baffles the mind. We have turned Saudi Arabia, OPEC, against the U.S. and OPEC against the U.S. That's the major oil suppliers for the world. No longer wanting to deal with us. Bringing 4 more deaths, and the U.S. calls it war crimes and a travesty. Atrocious what's happening. But yet we don't talk about what we do when we go into a country literally within the first 2 weeks and wipe out millions, or at least hundreds of thousands. It's happening though. Now, this isn't Kiev. This isn't some small city in Ukraine. This is the major city. So we got to keep an eye on that, of course, and everything that's happening as we watch France and UK and Europe all falling in a spiral with this debt crisis that's happening there. The central bank is actually acting as a black hole at this point, sucking money in at the point of no return. It's getting scary out there. It's just a matter of time before it comes here. Just a matter of time. But be prepared and be ready. And make sure you vote. I know early voting opens in a lot of places, or opened already in a lot of places. So if you haven't got out there and vote yet, please do get out there and vote as soon as possible. Definitely need people getting out there to vote. Try to at least fix this government one way or another. Yeah. It's just tragic. God bless you guys. God bless America. We got to hope for the best and keep pushing for it one way or another. As we know, nobody's going to fix the problems for us. Nobody's going to make it all better. It's actually happening. This is actually part of what's going to happen. And we need to be prepared. So God bless you. God bless America. Please like and share this stream if you can. Get it out there. And make sure you hit the follow button if you're not following the page already, so you can get notifications when we do go live. I know it's crazy, everything going on. Of course, if you guys can afford to donate, support the channel, please do. A lot of big bills are coming up soon, and a lot of people need help. So trying to do our best. But good night. God bless you. And God bless America.